It's the first day of a new month, Saturday, November 1st, and many Canadians were hoping that on our Saturday we'd already be celebrating a World Series victory, but Game 7 for the Blue Jays this evening, and around first pitch, 7 degrees in Toronto, feeling like 5. With any luck, well, by Sunday, we'll be celebrating a World Series champion team from here in Canada. But let's take a look at our Saturday weather. On both ends of the coast, we have some active conditions. Post-tropical storm Melissa for Atlantic Canada and a fair share of rain for BC as well. Windy conditions are going to be something many Canadians feel in the days ahead, especially this weekend. So let's start in northern Canada, where we are looking at some sunny skies for areas like Yellowknife. Now, we do have a bit of snowfall in parts of Northwest Territories. That'll move into areas like Nunavut for the day tomorrow. Some scattered flurry activity for the region. Well, let's head to a impactful story. What was once a Category 5 hurricane, now Melissa, post-tropical storm. With that, another low-pressure system driving a lot of active conditions for this part of the country. We can see Newfoundland and Labrador will be dealing with the lion's share of the moisture. Lots of rainfall, some snow in the mix as well. As you can see, not quite as much for the Maritimes, but it does look like more rain on the way shortly. Here's a look at our Sunday with some sea effect rainfall continuing. And then, yes, as we look Monday into Tuesday, this front bringing more moisture, especially for the Maritimes. But let's take a look at our weekend rainfall for Newfoundland and Labrador, and we are seeing some areas getting heavy amounts of that. More widespread, though, is the winds. Look at these gusts that we're dealing with throughout the weekend. And that's going to be a factor that slowly diminishes into the tail end of our weekend. Meanwhile, temperature-wise, we are looking at many double-digit highs across the region for today. And no double digits in the mix here for southern Quebec, where we have some temperatures like 7 degrees for Montreal with partly cloudy skies. Now, the winds will be mostly a factor for areas throughout the day, and then much like we saw for Atlantic Canada, diminishing as the weekend goes on. But for areas along the St. Lawrence, a bit of active weather, but quieter for the rest of the region this weekend. Now we look at Ontario, where we do have some double-digit highs here, but things will be certainly getting more intense in northern areas after a fairly quiet pattern with just some scattered showers. Take a look here, late weekend into our Monday, this low-pressure system bringing a messy mixture of rain and snow that we'll be keeping a close eye on. But wind-wise, it's mostly Quebec kind of hogging some of those stronger gusts after we're mostly done with it for much of Ontario until that system arrives on our Sunday. And look into Monday, starting off the work week, the forecast calling for strong winds. And we've seen a fair share of rain in parts of Ontario, particularly the nation's capital region, in the last 48 hours. But as we look at our 7-day forecast for Toronto, kind of up and down. A sunny day followed by a rainy day and repeating. And for Ottawa, we do see a similar tune with the on and off rainfall in the week to come. Our first full week of November ahead. Meanwhile, in the west, temperatures are looking pretty good, especially in parts of Alberta, where we have a 19-degree high for Medicine Hat. Don't be surprised if we see our national hotspot somewhere in that vicinity for today. But looking at our Saturday in northern parts of Saskatchewan, a bit of a rain-snow mix. Then here's that low bringing rainfall, but as it gets to Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, we see some snowfall start to get factored in. Now, the winds will certainly be gusty for the foothills today, and throughout the weekend, widespread windy conditions are expected. Now, here's our temperatures for the prairies today. As we mentioned, looking pretty good for Alberta and Saskatchewan. Not as warm in Manitoba, but Winnipeg on Sunday, a 12-degree high, which does look like it should be one of the better temperatures for our major prairie cities. Meanwhile, we look at British Columbia, a lot of active weather on the way. The snowfall at higher elevations and the rainfall totals are working out to some high amounts, particularly into some central coastal areas and parts of the interior.